Welcome back again students to another video lesson. So last week ang ating lesson, ang ating first week lesson sa General Mathematics, yung intro ng functions. So nirepresent natin yung functions using real life situations as well as the piecewise functions. After that, we evaluate functions and then we perform operations on functions as well as the compositions of functions. For this week, so we'll talk about rational functions. So our first lesson or first part of our lesson in rational functions, of course, we will represent it using real-life situations. So by the way, just to refresh you with rational numbers. So when we say rational numbers, these are numbers that can be expressed in the form of A over B. Like for example, 15. The number 15 can be represented as in the form of A over B 15 over 1, where 15 is the numerator and then 1 is the denominator. As well as fractions, for example, 2/3, 2 over 3. So 2 will act as A, the numerator, and B, the denominator, is 3. For our lesson objectives, we will review polynomial functions. So yung polynomial functions na to, isa siya sa mga topics noong grade 10 kayo, particularly on the second quarter of your lesson in grade 10 mathematics. So na kung saan nag-graph kayo ng mga polynomial functions. Next, of course, our main discussion will focus on representing real-life situations using rational functions. And then, of course, upon representing real-life situations of rational functions, we will solve real-life problems involving rational functions. So before we begin our discussion, let's have an activity. So yung activity na to, review lang siya nung previous lessons nyo on polynomial functions. So the instruction is, determine whether each of the following is a polynomial function or not. If the given is a polynomial function, identify the leading term, leading coefficient, constant term, and the degree. Okay. So how will we be able to identify if the given function is polynomial function? Okay. So, meron tayong rule na sinusundan. Okay. Kailangan po yung power, lahat ng powers ng mga terms ng polynomial function ay positive. Non-negative po dapat. So, kung may nakita kayo na ang exponent ng isang term o kung ilang terms man yun ay may mga negative. Okay. So, we cannot consider that given as polynomial function as well as function. Okay. So, ang function po, non-negative po dapat ang kanyang mga powers ng terms nila. And then, we also have leading term. So, pag sinabi nating leading term, ito yung nauunang term. Okay. So, paano natin ma-identify ang leading term? Of course, we need to write the given polynomial function or any function in standard form. Next, leading coefficient. So, when we say leading coefficient, ito yung numerical coefficient ng leading term. Again, pag hindi natin na-identify ang leading term, hindi rin natin ma-identify ang leading coefficient. It doesn't mean na ang function, nakasulat siya, nakabigay, yung una niya, yun na agad yung leading term. Hindi. So, kailangan pa rin natin tignan kung yung bang given function ay nakasulat sa standard form. Okay, and then, when we say constant term, this is a term with no variables at all. So, usually, ang constant term, sinusulat natin siya sa pinaka-huli. And of course, the degree of the polynomial function. So, ma-identify naman natin na mabilis ang degree ng polynomial function kapag nasulat na natin yung polynomial function in standard form. Sir, paano po kapag hindi po natin sinulat yung polynomial function sa standard form? Pwede po ba natin kunin ang degree? Pwede naman. Just look for the exponents or powers of the terms of the given function. Okay, so kung ano yung pinakamataas dun sa mga exponent powers ng given terms ng polynomial function, yun ang magiging degree. So it's better to write the given function in standard form para mas mabilis na ma-identify yung degree. So let's start. For number 1, we have f of x is equal to 2x cubed plus 6x squared minus x plus 17. So, yung first na gagawin natin dito, titignan natin yung mga powers ng terms ng given function kung positive ba lahat. Okay. So, as you can see, yung 3, positive. Yung 2, positive. Pag wala siyang exponent, understood, 1. Of course, what is the degree of a constant term? That is 0. So, as you can see, lahat ng powers ng mga terms ng given function ay positive. So, therefore, this given is a polynomial function. Now, let's identify the leading coefficient. So, since nakasulat siya sa standard form, ayan, pababa, 3, 2, and then 1, 0. So, pwede na nating ma-identify ang leading term. So, ang ating leading term ay yung nauuna. So, 2x cubed. Now, from this leading term, pwede natin kunin yung leading coefficient. So, the leading coefficient. So, again, pag sinabi nating leading coefficient, ito yung numerical coefficient ng leading term. So, based dito, alin ang leading coefficient niya? And that is 2. So, our leading coefficient is 2. Anong tawag dun sa x cube? Yun naman yung literal coefficient, yung may variable. Next, the constant term. So, again, when we say constant term, this is a term with no variable. So, usually, ang constant term lagi siyang nasa hulihan. So, dito sa ating given function, 17 ang ating constant term. Now, what is the degree of the given function? So, based yan sa mga powers ng ating given function, ang ating degree, yung pinakamataas na degree ay 3. So, 3 is the degree of the given function. So, cubic function siya. Next, let's have number 2. f of x is equal to negative 3x to the 5th power minus 8x to the 4th power plus 7x cubed raised to negative 3 minus x squared plus 9. Okay, so again, first step, we need to identify if the function is polynomial function or not. Okay, so as you can see, yung ating nauunang term, positive ang kanyang power. Yung pangalawa, positive. However, dun sa pangatlo, naging negative 3. So, sa pang-apat, positive, and then yung constant term natin. So, nakita nyo naman na meron tayong term dito na ang exponent niya or power niya ay negative. Therefore, this given is not polynomial function. So, what is the reason behind that? Okay. Again, when we say function, determine natin ang given function na function siya kapag yung degree niya is positive lang. So, kapag may negative, hindi po siya considered as function. I hope it's clear. Next, number 3. f of x is equal to x to the 4th power plus 5x cubed minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 11. So, as you can see, yung mga terms natin, naka-arrange in standard form, as well as yung mga powers ng terms ay puro mga positive. Okay, so therefore this is a polynomial function. Now, let's identify the leading coefficient, the leading term. So the leading term is, of course, x to the 4th power. Now, sir, wala pong numerical coefficient po yung leading term natin kasi wala naman pong number na nakalagay, na naka-indicate. Okay, so kapag variable lang siya, x lang siya, or any variable na wala siyang numerical coefficient na nakalagay, understood po yun, 1 po ang value niya. Pero, hindi natin ginagamit sa math na 1x to the 4th power, 1x cubed, 1y cubed. So, basta x siya, understood, 1 ang value niya. So, our leading coefficient is 1. Paano po kapag negative x to the 4th power? Of course, our leading coefficient is negative 1. And then, for our constant term, so yung number or yung term na nasa dulo, that is negative 11. So, if your answer is 11, mali po yun. So, kailangan po, isama po natin yung sign nung term na yon. Okay? So, our constant term is negative 11. What about the degree of the given function? That is 4. So, based sa mga given terms natin, 4 yung may pinakamataas na power. So, ang degree ng given function natin ay 4. Next, number 4. f of x is equal to negative 6x cubed minus 7x to the 4th power plus 9x to the 5th power plus 6x minus 11x squared. So, yung ating given function ay hindi nakasulat sa standard form. So, we need to rewrite the terms of the function. So, ang mangyayari nito, ang mauuna dapat is yung highest degree. So, which is 9x to the 5th power. And then, pababa lang yung mga exponent niya, yung mga powers niya. So, ang kasunod ng 5, of course, yung 4. Negative 7x to the 4th power, and then 3 minus 6x cubed, and then yung squared naman, minus 11x squared. Finally, yung may x, 6x. So, ayan. So, nakasulat na sa standard form ang ating given equation, given function. We can now identify the leading term. So, the leading term is 9x to the 5th power. Next, our leading coefficient is 9. And then our constant term is 0. Okay, or none. So, as you can see, wala po tayong constant term dito. Kasi ang last term natin is 6x na may variable. Okay, kapag constant term, wala siyang variable. So, for our degree, so the highest degree among the terms of the given function is 5. So, last example, f of x is equal to 8x cubed plus 13x squared minus the square root of 3x minus 19. Okay. So, una muna nating i-check dito is yung given function kung polynomial ba siya or not, or kung function ba siya o hindi. Okay. So, meron tayo ditong isang term na naka-express in radical. Okay. So, kung i-express natin ng square root of 3x, ganito ang magiging itsura niya. 3x raised to 1/2. Okay. So, kung bawal ang negative na exponent, bawal din po yung fractional exponent. So, 1/2 is a fractional exponent. Fractional exponent. So, hindi po function ang given function kung meron siyang fractional exponent o kaya naman negative yung exponent niya. So, therefore, this is not polynomial function. So, sir, paano po kung isang term lang po yung may negative na exponent o kaya po yung may fractional na exponent? Considered po ba yun na function? Hindi po. So, basta may isang term na nag-violate dun sa definition ng function, hindi po yun considered as function. So, let's have rational function. A rational function is a function of the form f of x is equal to p of x over q of x, where p of x and q of x are polynomial functions, and q of x is not a zero function. The domain of f of x is the set of all values of x, where q of x is not equal to 0. So, kapag rational function ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, usually, naka-express siya in the form of p of x over q of x. Para siyang fraction kung titignan. And then, meron siya ditong condition na q of x should not be equal to 0 or should not be a zero function. Why? It's because kapag ang denominator natin ay naging 0, so, ang magiging sagot natin doon is undefined, indeterminate. So, let's have example number 1. An object is to travel a distance of 15 meters. Express velocity v as function of travel time t in seconds. So our solution, the following tables show v for various values of t. So, meron tayong table dito and then dun sa ano natin, sa una nating column, yung first row natin, makikita nyo dyan yung t stands for seconds, yung time na, yung travel time. So, meron tayong mga given values dito, yung 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 12 seconds, and 15 seconds. So, yung pinaka-maximum natin dito is 15 seconds. Okay, and then, yung atin namang velocity expressed in meters per second. So, paano natin makukuha yung velocity ng object na yon? So, ang gagawin lang natin, yung 15 meters is i-divide natin dun sa travel time, dun sa oras. Okay, for example, 15 meters divided by 1, that is 15. Okay, next, 15 divided by 2, that is 7.5. And then, sa ano naman, sa 5, 3 meters per seconds. And then, pagdating ng 10 seconds, 1.5 meters per second. And then, pag 15 divided by 12, that is 1.25 meter per second. And then, sa 15 seconds naman, ang velocity niya ay 1 meter per second. So, anong mapapansin natin dyan? Yung velocity ng object na yon ay bumababa. So, nag-start siya sa 15 meters. Okay, and then, after 15 seconds, ang velocity ng object na yon ay 1 meter per second na lang. So, paano ang kanyang function? So, the function v of t is equal to 15 over t. Can represent v as a function of t. Okay, so again, yung given ano natin, 15 meters, i-divide lang natin siya sa time. Okay, so kumbaga, nyari, v of 2. So, 15 divided by 2, makukuha natin yung velocity na 7.5 meters per second. So, dito, since fraction siya, yung rational function siya, so, ang mangyayari po, yung magiging sagot ay lumiliit ng lumiliit. Kasi, dinidivide kasi natin siya. So, example number 2. Suppose that C of t is equal to 40 all over t squared plus 1 in milligram per ml. Represents the concentration of a drug in a patient's bloodstream t hours after the drug was administered. Construct a table of values for C of t. 40 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Round up your answers to 2 decimal places. Use a table to sketch a graph and interpret the result. So, ibig sabihin lang ng problem na to, in a patient's bloodstream, may certain amount na ini-intake or ini-inject dun sa patient na umahalo sa kanyang dugo in a period of time. So, kukunin natin ngayon kung ano yung magiging concentration ng drug after 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then 5 hours. So, and then, after nating mapakita yung table, i-graph natin yung function na yon. And then, i-interpret natin yung resulta. So, para pakita sa inyo yung solution niya, so of course, mag-construct tayo ng table wherein yung sa left side niya, yung first column niya, t, yung time. So, and then sa pangalawang column naman, yung C of t. So, titignan natin kung pagdating ng isang oras, ano ang magiging concentration ng drug na in-inject dun sa patient's bloodstream. Okay? So, for example, if t is equal to 0, so sulat natin yung given function, C of t is equal to 40 all over t squared plus 1. So, kapag sinubstitute natin ang 0 dun sa t, magiging 4 times 0, and then 0 squared plus 1. 4 times 0, that is 0. And then 0 squared plus 1, 1. So, kapag ang 0 dinivide natin sa 1, ang sagot ay 0. So, yan. Next. C of 1 naman. So, kung 1 naman ang ating isa-substitute, magiging 4 times 1 all over 1 squared plus 1 equals 4 times 1, 4. And then 1 squared, that is 1 plus 1, that is 4 over 2. And 4 divided by 2, that is 2. So, after 1 hour, ang concentration ng drug na in-intake or in-inject dun sa pasyente, sa dugo ng pasyente, ay 2 mg per ml na siya. Okay, next. Pagdating naman ng second hour, C of 2, magiging 4 times 2 all over 2 squared plus 1. 4 times 2, that is 8. All over 2 squared, that is 4, plus 1 equals 8 over 5. So, if we divide 8 by 5, the answer is 1.6. So, pagdating ng second hour, 1.6 mg per ml na lang siya. Okay. And then, so kapag naman after 3 hours, so ang concentration ng drug dun sa patient's bloodstream ay C of 3 is equal to 4 times 3 all over 3 squared plus 1. 4 times 3, that is 12, over 3 squared, that is 9, plus 1. So, 12 over 10, that is 1.2. So, as you can see, habang umaandar yung oras, yung concentration ng drug na in-inject sa pasyente, sa dugo ng pasyente ay bumababa. Okay, so and then kapag C of 4 naman, so that is 4 times 4 over 4 squared plus 1, that is 4 times 4, 16, 4 squared, 16 plus 1, and that is 16 over 16 plus 1, that is 17. So if we divide 16 by 17, our answer is 0.94. So 0.94 milligram. Next, kapag naman after 5 hours, magiging 4 times 5 all over 5 squared plus 1 is equal to 20 all over 5 squared, that is 25, plus 1. So 20 over 26, that is 0.77. Okay. So after 5 hours, so kung makikita na yung concentration ng drug na in-inject dun sa dugo ng pasyente ay 0.77 mg per ml. So, makikita nyo dun sa ating graph niyan, yung kung paano tumaas, tas biglang bumaba yung concentration ng drug na in-inject. So, para maipakita sa inyo yung graph ng ating given function, so yung table natin, ayan. And then, gawa tayo ng Cartesian plane wherein meron siyang y-axis and x-axis. So, i-label natin yung mga parts ng Cartesian plane. So, yung ating vertical axis, yung y. And then, yung ating horizontal axis, yung x. So, dito, yung x natin, yung nire-represent niya is yung time. Okay. And then, yung y naman, nire-represent niya yung concentration of the drug na in-inject dun sa patient's bloodstream. So, kung mapapansin nyo dito sa ating left side, yung t, yung oras, from 0 to 5 hours. And then, dito naman sa C of t, kung mapapansin nyo, nagsimula tayo sa 0, syempre, of course. And then, naging 2, tumaas siya. And then, after 2 hours, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, unti-unting bumababa. So, kung kukunin natin yung concentration after 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, and so on, so unti-unti siyang bumababa na para siyang almost 0 na. So, pero hindi siya magiging 0. So, almost 0 lang. So, para mas maipakita yung mga ordered pair na yan na nakikita nyo sa table. So, ito sila. So, yung una, 0, 0, yung sa origin. And then, yung sa 1 naman, ayan, 1 and 2. C, 2 and 1.6. 3 and 1.2. 4 and 0.94. And last one, 5 and 0.77. Okay. So, ganyan po yung graph ng rational function. Okay. So, ang graph niya, bumababa, palapit ng palapit sa 0, pero hindi siya didikit sa 0. Okay. So, for our third example, the budget of a university organization is split evenly among its various committees. If they have a budget of 90,000, construct a function m of n which would give the amount of money each of the n number of committee would receive. So based dito sa ating given problem, so yung pera or yung budget na 90,000 ay paghahatian ng mga committee. So dito, ang number of committee represented siya by n kasi hindi natin alam kung ilan yung number of committee na yon. So gagawa lang tayo ng function nito. So i-represent natin yung given problem. So anong mangyayari dyan? So since sabi niya, we construct a function using m of n. So ang mangyayari lang ganito. M of n is equal to, yung total budget natin is 90,000. Divided by the number of committee na represented using the variable n. So, yung ating given function is m of n is equal to 90,000 over n. Na kung saan, for example, ang bilang ng ating committee ay 10, yung 90,000, paghahatian lang ng 10 tao. So, 90,000 divided by 10. Makukuha na yung share ng bawat committee. So, let's have letter B. If the organization has 12 committees, how much would each committee have? So, dito, nakabigay na yung bilang ng committees. So, which is 12. So, using the given function, m of n is equal to 90,000 all over n. So, 90,000 and then, i-divide natin dun sa value ng n, yung number ng committees, which is 12. So, ang bawat committee, makaka-receive sila ng 7,500. Okay. So, to check kung tama ba yung sagot natin na 7,500, just simply multiply 7,500 by 12. You will get 90,000 pesos. So, for example number 4, a fence is to enclose a rectangular farm with an area of 300 square meters. If x is the length of one side of this fence, find the function p of x representing the perimeter of the fencing material required. Find the perimeter of the fence if one side has a length of a 15 meters or b 25 meters. So, given dito yung area which is 300 square meters. So, and then yung isang length ng side ng fence, given siya na x. So, kailangan natin hanapin or i-represent yung function ng perimeter using p of x nga. And then, para makuha yung perimeter, kailangan syempre natin munang makita or mapakita, ma-represent yung given function. Okay. So, madali na lang naman kasing pagsasubstitute kapag once na meron na tayong function na nakuha. So, paano yun? So, for our solution, given the area which is 300 square meters, so the formula of the area of a rectangle is length times width. So, we let L be x and then we solve for W. And then, substitute W to the perimeter of a rectangle to represent P of X. So, ang unang gagawin muna natin dito is yung area. So, kakailanganin natin yung area para makuha yung W, yung width. And then, yung L natin dito, yung length natin, ang magsisilbing X. So, para mas malinawan kayo, ipapakita ko sa inyo yung solusyon. So, area is equal to LW. And then given yung area which is 300. And then, sabi sa ano natin, let L be X. So, yung L, papalitan natin siya ng X. And then, W. So, paano natin masosolve yung W? So, we need to divide the whole equation by X. So, W is equal to 300 over X. So, yung nakuha natin na W is equal to 300 over X, isa-substitute nga natin ngayon sa perimeter ng rectangle para ma-represent natin yung perimeter. So, paano yon? So, yung perimeter ng rectangle, 2L plus 2 width. So, using function, magiging P of X is equal to 2, the value of L is X. So, magiging 2X lang siya. And then, 2 times, you substitute the value of W, which is 300 over X. So, 300 over X. As you can see, wala na tayong ibang nakikitang variable, kundi X. Okay, so that is P of X is equal to 2X plus 2 times 300, that is 600 over X. So, ganyan ba yung final answer? Hindi. So, kukunin natin yung LCD ng 2x tsaka 600 over x. So, ang denominator ng 2x ay 1. Therefore, the LCD is only x. Now, x divided by 1, that is x, times 2x, that is 2x squared. Plus, x divided by x, that is 1, times 100, that is 600. So, yung function na hinahanap natin to represent the perimeter of the rectangle is P of x is equal to 2x squared plus 600 all over x. Now, for our next given, if x is equal 15 meters, then what is the perimeter? So, hanapin natin ngayon yung perimeter kung yung isang side niya, ang length niya ay 15 meters. So, ayan, mas madali na lang yan makuha yung perimeter kasi meron na tayong function, which is P of x is equal to 2x squared plus 600 over x. So, let's substitute. So, sulat natin yung given function. Okay. All over x. So, and then we substitute P of 15, that is 2, times the quantity of 15 squared plus 600 all over 15. Next, 2 times the square of 15, that is 225, plus 600 all over 15. So, what is 2 times 225? That is 450, plus 600 all over 15. So, if we add 450 and 600, that is 1050 all over 15. Now, P of 15 is equal to 1050 divided by 15, and that is 70 meters. Okay. So, kung ang isang length ng side ng rectangle ay 15 meters, ang magiging perimeter nun ay 70 meters. So, tandaan, ang area ang perimeter ng rectangle, 2L plus 2 width. So, since function ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, nakakuha tayo ng function na kung saan direct nating makukuha agad yung perimeter ng rectangle using 2x squared plus 600 over x. So, kung hindi function ang pinag-uusapan natin, yung usual na paraan ang gagamitin natin. P is equal to 2L plus 2W. Last, what if x is equal to 25 meters? Then, P of x is equal to 2x squared plus 600 over x. So, same process pa rin. Isa-substitute natin yung 25 dun sa given function. So, i-rewrite lang natin. Okay. So, that is P of 25 is equal to 2 times the square of 25 plus 600 all over 25. So the square of 25, that is 625 plus 600 all over 25. Next, 2 times 625, that is 1,250 plus 600 all over 25. Now, 1,250 plus 600, that is 1,850 divided by 25. Now, P of 25 is equal to 1,850 divided by 25, and that is 74 meters. Okay. So, yan ang magiging final answer natin. 74 meters. So, for our last problem, suppose the amount of bacteria growing in a petri dish is represented by the function b of t is equal to 60t all over t plus 2, where t is less than or equal to 10 but greater than 0, where t is in hours and b of t is in millions. Evaluate the function at t is equal to 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, and then interpret the obtained values. So, yung b dito is yung amount ng bacteria within 1 hour, 2 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on. So, ang gagawin lang natin dito is isa-substitute natin tong mga given time dun sa given function para malaman natin yung amount ng bacteria na nag-grow dun sa petri dish. Okay. So, paano yon? So, if t is equal to 1, so, sulat lang natin yung given function, b of t is equal to 60t all over t plus 2. So, 60 times 1 all over 1 plus 2. So, 60 times 1, that is 60. 1 plus 2, that is 3. So, after 1 hour, ang bilang ng bacteria ay 20 millions. Now, after 2 hours naman, so sulat ko na lang b of 2 is equal to 60 times 2 all over 2 plus 2. So, 60 times 2, that is 120. All over 2 plus 2, that is 4. 120 divided by 4, that is 30 millions. So, as you can see, after 2 hours, ang bilang ng bacteria na nag-grow ay 30 millions na. Ayan. Next, if t is equal to 3, so ang mangyayari, b of 3 is equal to 60 times 3 all over 3 plus 2. So, 60 times 3, that is 180 all over 3 plus 2, that is 5. So, after 3 hours, ang bilang ng bacteria ay 36 millions. And then, if t is equal to 5, so b of 5 is equal to 60 times 5 all over 5 plus 2 is equal to 300 all over 7. Now, we divide 300 by 7, so the answer is 42.86 millions. And finally, so after 10 hours naman, we'll have b of 10 is equal to 60 times 10 all over 10 plus 2. So, 60 times 10, that is 600 all over 10 plus 2, that is 12. So, if we divide 600 by 12, we'll get an answer, a quotient of 50 millions. So, after 10 hours, ang bilang ng bacteria na nag-grow dun sa petri dish is 50 millions. So, kung paano natin i-interpret yung mga na-obtain nating value? So, ganito lang. So, yung bilang ng bacteria or the amount ng bacteria ay nag-i-increase. Pero, pwede nating sabihin na hindi naman nag-exceed sa, halimbawa, 51 million, 55 million. So, for example, ang nakuha nating, halimbawa, dito sa B of 10, ang nakuha nating sagot, halimbawa, 49 millions. So, halimbawa lang yan, 49 millions. So, anong magiging interpretation natin doon? So, ang amount ng bacteria or yung population ng bacteria ay nag-increase pero hindi naman nag-exceed ng 50 millions. So, yun lang yung ano natin, yung pag-represent natin ng rational functions in real life situations. So after we've discussed the representation of rational functions using real life situations, our next topic will be rational functions, equations, and inequalities. Okay. So pag functions ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, usually f of x. Pag equation naman, equal to 0. Okay? And then, inequalities, so yung mga greater than, less than or equal to, yan, yung mga symbols ng inequalities. So, I hope naging clear yung discussion natin as well as yung ating review sa polynomial functions. So, kung mapapansin nyo, mahaba yung time ng ating discussion. It's because kailangan ko ngang i-review sa inyo yung polynomial functions and then isa-isahin yung mga word problems. Okay, so yun lang. Maraming salamat.